Today, we're going to dive into a foundational training system that's really built from the ground up to get a new generation ready for Industry 4.0. It's all about making sure students get the hands-on skills they actually need to walk onto a job site and succeed from day one. You know, this quote really gets right to the heart of it. The whole mission here is to close that gap, the one between what's taught in the classroom and the high-skill, high-demand careers that are out there waiting for students. It's all about aligning education with what local industry is asking for. And let's be honest, every single technical program out there is feeling this pressure. How do we possibly get students ready for smart factories, for advanced automation, for an industry that's just changing at lightning speed? It is a massive challenge for educators and administrators alike. But here's the catch, the kind of problem that sneaks up on you. You can build the most amazing high-tech robotics lab, but what happens if only 1 or 2 students can actually use the equipment at a time? What are the other 20 students doing? Just watching? That's a huge bottleneck for real hands-on learning. And that brings us to what I think is the real crisis we need to solve. It's not really about having the fanciest technology. It's about student engagement. So the big question becomes, how do you get every single student in the room to be an active, hands-on participant in their own education? This slide just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On the left, that's the classic lab setup. A couple of students are busy, they're engaged, while everybody else is kind of just standing around waiting for their turn. That's what we call the student idling problem. The goal is what you see on the right, a classroom that is firing on all cylinders where every single student is working, learning, and solving problems all at the same time. And for any administrator, any dean, this right here is the nightmare scenario. You make this huge investment in incredible cutting-edge equipment, only to see it sit there gathering dust, basically becoming a giant paperweight because it's just too complex or too limited for the whole class to use. That's a fear that's rooted in budgets, in student outcomes, and ultimately in student success. Okay, so we've identified the problem. How do we actually solve it? Well, the solution has to be something designed specifically to flip that passive classroom into a buzzing, active learning environment. And here it is. This is the Flexible Training Module, or FTM for short. Now, the idea is incredibly simple, but it is so powerful. Bring the essential industrial-grade training right to every single student's desk. This is the tool that unlocks that full classroom engagement we've been talking about. So, what exactly is the FTM? Well, think of it as a hands-on, modular platform that really mirrors what's happening in the real world of automation. Students can physically wire circuits, they can test sensors, they can control pneumatic parts, all the fundamental building blocks of any advanced system, like a robot or a conveyor line. Okay, so that's what it is. But what core skills are students actually mastering when they use the FTM? Let's break down the competencies that are just non-negotiable for any career in modern manufacturing or automation. The learning is structured in this really clear, logical way. You're not just thrown in the deep end. It starts with the absolute basics, power and safety. Then it moves into the brains of the system with sensors and logic. And finally, it gets into the physical brawn with pneumatics and actual motion. Lab number 1 is all about power and safety. I mean, before you can automate anything, you have to know how to power it up safely and correctly, right? This is where students learn to handle different voltages, use circuit breakers, and, this is huge, how to identify faults. That's an absolutely critical skill for any technician out in the field. Okay, next up, students get into the logic of it all. They learn how sensors act as the eyes and ears of a machine, and how relays make the decisions. This lab really teaches that core principle of all automation, how an input from a sensor triggers a logical output. And finally, it's time to make things move. The pneumatics lab is where students see how all those electrical signals get translated into real physical force and motion. They're learning to control actuators, adjust speed and pressure, and troubleshoot systems that are physically interacting with the world. But at the end of the day, these skills have to connect to real-world outcomes. I mean, this isn't just about learning cool concepts. It's about building a direct, tangible pathway for students into those high-demand careers. And you can see that direct connection right here. The skills they master on the FTMA are that crucial first step towards careers like automation technician or industrial machinery mechanic. These are real-world, O-Net-aligned roles that employers are desperately trying to fill right now. And it also helps build toward real credentials. The FTM is designed to help students start working towards nationally recognized certifications. It gives them that foundational piece, creating a pathway to what we call stackable credentials, where every new skill they learn makes them that much more valuable and employable. So let's zoom out for a second. It's so important to see this as more than just a piece of hardware. This is about a complete educational solution. It's about forming a long-term partnership to build a program that's sustainable and truly future-proof. This whole approach really rests on three powerful pillars. It's built by students, which means learning is active and hands-on, not passive. It's designed by educators, so it comes with a complete, ready-to-go curriculum. And it's influenced by industry, which guarantees that everything being taught is actually relevant to what employers need today. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What if we shifted our focus a little bit? What if the greatest asset in your tech lab wasn't the most expensive robot in the corner, but instead it was the competence and the confidence of every single student who walks out that door? Now that is the kind of transformation we're talking about.